Wow, how's that better? Is that better? Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network on this Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. So nice, I had to say it twice. What's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? And it's great to be here on a quiet night in the Delaware Valley when it comes to the sports scene. Not much, if anything, happening tonight. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Do you need the break? I don't know, but we'll try to muddle through because we do. That doesn't mean we don't have a shortage of things to talk about, because we do, as we always do here on this program and in every other program that you might listen to, regardless if there's no live sports or not. So let's get it going. We got for you tonight your day in Philadelphia sports history. That's right. We got maybe some, we'll do Eagles-Rams. We'll talk Eagles-Rams one last time as we set our sights now towards the Eagles and Ravens. We'll talk a little bit of Flyers. We'll kind of put a cherry on top of yesterday's loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. We will talk some Hot Stove. That's right. We have a new segment on the show starting tonight, MLB Hot Stove. We will get you caught up on the latest in the transactions and transitionings and the trades of your favorite MLB players. We got our card review, and I don't think we're going to do a prospect tonight. I think we're going to leave that go for till tomorrow night. But yeah, we'll leave that go. But we got a lot in store for you tonight. So let's get it going with your day in Philadelphia sports history. A day in which I remember fondly. On this night back in 2018, the Flyers decided that they had seen enough of Ron Hextall. That's right. Yes, we shed a tear for Ron Hextall tonight back in 2018 because the Flyers fired Hextall as both the vice president of hockey operations, or vice president of the team, I think he was that high, and of course the general manager, ending Hextall's turbulent time that lasted about 4 years. And of course, we are still feeling the Hextall effects up to this day. And, it ushered out Hextall, but it ushered in Chuck Fletcher, and it ushered in, of course, Chuck Fletcher's way of doing business, which we are definitely still feeling the effects of to this day. But I remember this night because the Flyers had gotten off to a god-awful start in the 2018-2019 season. And Dave Hextall was the first to go about a week earlier. And then they decided to remove Hextall. Hextall was the first to go, then Hextall went about a week later. That's right. It was Hextall first, and then Hextall went. That was Chuck Fletcher's first act as general manager to fire the coach. And then, of course, the second act was to bring up Carter Hart to start that tumultuous relationship that ended last year. But, of course, the lasting effect of Ron Hextall is the trades. It's the drafting. It's the confusion of what he was doing with the team. Were we stockpiling for the future, or were we all in it to win it for today? Everything he did was a contradiction of the previous thing that he did. The Flyers, one of the good things about the Flyers' struggles through the mid parts of the 2000s and teens, that like 12 to 14 run, 12 to 15 run, was the amassing of great draft capital that the Flyers had accumulated. And Ron Hextall had an opportunity to really turn the fortunes of the team with some of that draft capital. And he, of course, missed on just about every one of the picks that he made. And his hiring of Dave Hextall signaled a wave of the future in terms of building for the future. But some of the trades that he made, some of the signings that he made, confused Flyer fans because they were more for winning for today. So a very confusing period under Ron Hextall in the 4 years that he was here. And on this night back in 2018, the Flyers said, adios, Hextall, and fired him for Chuck Fletcher, which, of course, set us up for a whole other set of problems that we are still dealing with today as well. But yeah, Ron Hextall. Now, who screwed it up the most, Hextall or Fletcher? Or do they hold equal share? Because, again, Hextall, I don't think necessarily made the problem with Hextall was there wasn't clear. it was confusing. One move was for tomorrow, another move was for today. Like the next move was for today. Then the stubbornness of not bringing Carter Hart up. That was another confusing aspect of what he was doing. Why couldn't Carter Hart come up? Obviously Chuck Fletcher's first move after firing Dave Hextall was to bring up Carter Hart, which worked out. I mean, until he had to leave the team due to a criminal thing, but he was definitely ready for that next step. So a confusing period under Ron Hextall ended tonight back in 2018 as the Flyers said, "See ya, don't want to be ya," to Ron Hextall. So there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history, the firing of Ron Hextall as our president or vice president and general manager. So let's get it going on a good note, right? And I guess the follow-up question or follow-up topic to that, are we in a better position today? After all that. And how much, when you truly look at the damage caused by both Hextall and Fletcher, does that give you more patience for Danny B? Does that give you more patience for what the regime has to do now or what the management team has to fix? I don't think we are aware, and I mean we as the general Flyers fan base public, the levels of dysfunctionality that were there when Danny B took over. And then I'm sure it still exists at some level today as he tries to continue to rebuild the organization. And I know in my mind, I'm going to speak for me personally, I'm getting a little impatient with this team. I'm getting a little impatient with the direction in terms of, who should be here and who shouldn't be here, player-wise. Am I misguided in that? We had lots of years of mismanagement. We had two regimes of mismanagement, Hextall and then Fletcher. And it's going to take some time to undo that. So as a Flyer fan, do we have, is Danny B entitled to more patience based on all that nonsense that he had to deal with when he got here? The misguidedness of Ron Hextall and the negligence of Chuck Fletcher. So I think it's a question that I'm going to start pondering more and more now as I watch these games and get more and more frustrated as I watch them. So anyway, on this night, Hextall was fired by the Flyers, ushering in the Chuck Fletcher era and ushering in which would become the darker period of Flyer history as we are now hopefully wading out of it. But there you have it. So also on a positive note, 78 days till pitchers and catchers report to spring training. Mark that on your calendar as we get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving. Think about spring training baseball as it's only 78 days away, less than 80 days away from the start of spring training. February 12th, 2025. Circle it on your calendars. And as I said tonight, fresh off the presses on this program here, a new segment, a hot stove segment, as we will keep you up to date on the latest rumblings and grumblings and comings and goings of the MLB offseason. And not just Phillies. We will talk all aspects of Major League Baseball. Try to keep everybody plugged in. There's been some moves, nothing major. I mean, the Jonathan India trade is maybe the most major move that's happened so far this offseason. The owners' meetings are coming up next month. I'm sure things will start kind of kicking into high gear. Obviously, everybody's waiting at bated breath about Juan Soto and what his decision is going to be. But we're going to stay on top of it, and we're going to bring it to you as it happens, hopefully. And so, yeah, that'll be starting tonight and pretty much every night. I guess we'll see how it goes. Maybe every night, maybe every other night, but we'll talk some of that. All right, so I guess we can start talking the first topic of the night, and that's, of course, your Philadelphia Eagles. Your 9-2 Philadelphia Eagles, your first place, all-alone NFC East, 7-game winning streak, dominant Philadelphia Eagles on their way to Super Bowl 59. Punch your tickets, get ready to go. How you feeling? It's going to be a party on Bourbon Street tonight in February when the Eagles Nation descends upon New Orleans. We're going to forget about the last 6 games of the season. We're going to forget about the playoffs, and we're going to get right to the Super Bowl because that is what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm feeling, and that's what I think is going to be a mistake. Listen, the Eagles are a great, great story right now. Fabulous. Even I, the most jaded, the most non-believer of the tribe, have to pretty much step back and give a tip of the cap to Saquon Barkley, a tip of the cap to Nick Sirianni, A tip of the cap to, yes, even Howie Roseman, for what they have put asunder here this year. It has been, up to this point, a fantastic revelation. All I hope and all I wish for going forward, regardless of what happens against Baltimore, because I think a lot of people might be misguided about what this game means against the Ravens. I don't think this is season defining. It's not. It's a great test, and it's a great watermark for this team. But honestly, barring a complete and utter disaster and a blowout at the hands of the Ravens, this game is just like any other game of the season, and it should be attacked that way. There's nothing that's going to be won or lost on Sunday against Baltimore that's going to have lasting ramifications all the way into the playoffs, because that's what it's about, right? It's about setting our sights at this point towards dealing with the teams in the NFC like Detroit, dealing with teams in the NFC, I guess, the upper crust now, the teams that we're going to have to face in January, but not losing sight of the fact that to get to Detroit or get Detroit to Philadelphia, however that works itself out, there's going to be a roadblock of teams ahead of the Eagles, and that those teams cannot be looked past. Now, there are some great stories. Obviously, with the 255-yard rushing performance of Sunday of Saquon Barkley, setting the new single-season rushing record, as an Eagle, for an Eagle, breaking LaShawn McCoy's record set back there in the snow game of, was it 2009? On December the 8th. Now setting his sights on the single-season rushing record of 1,600 yards. Now also setting his sights on potentially an NFL single-season rushing record. And now setting his sights on a potential MVP season. There's nothing but to be excited about. But this is what my concern is. And again, I'm taking a different stance on this. I am not going to fight anymore. I'm not going to fight you anymore out there. I am not going to sit here and posture about how much I don't believe in certain aspects of this team. And I still don't believe. I believe in Saquon Barkley. Oh, yes, I do. I'd be a fool. My eyes are telling me everything I need to see about Saquon. But my eyes are also telling me a lot of things about this team that are still not good, and that are still a concern, and that are still potentially looming as a problem if exposed. And that is, of course, the quarterback play. Lost in all of Saquon Barkley, for good or for the bad, has been the play of the quarterback. And you might be wondering what I'm getting at, because it hasn't been a dreadful season for Jalen Hurts. Absolutely not. It hasn't been. But it hasn't been an elite season. We talk about this, all the nonsense that Eagle fans get wrapped around these power rankings, and Jalen Hurts is top this, top 5 that, top 3 this, bottom 5 that, bottom 10 this. We get all wrapped up around that, but, I don't hear much talk about that anymore. And I hear some rumblings and grumblings that still think Jalen Hurts is having an elite season, which I don't know what planet you're watching or what planet you're on to think that. He's not having an elite season, and it's okay that he's not. But I'm remiss that what Kyle Quinn and I were talking about last week on the Birds Blast. The days of Trent Dilfer riding a superior defense to a world championship, those days are not necessarily over, but the Eagle defense is not the Baltimore Raven defense of 2000. It's not the same thing, right? And the Eagle defense has been playing outstanding and playing over their heads at times, but they're not that defense that Trent Dilfer had in 2000. At some point this season, at some juncture, whether that be a permanent juncture because they lose Saquon because of an injury, whether that be a temporary juncture because a team finds a way to stop Saquon Barkley at the point of attack, and then, or a temporary juncture because, say, the team is down and they need to get back in the game quickly. But at some point, your quarterback is going to have to play elite. At some point, in order for the Eagles to win a Super Bowl, for the Eagles to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, Jalen Hurts is going to have to play elite. And can he? Can he play elite? Because other than 2022, he has not shown that he is an elite quarterback. And yes, the Carson Wentz comparisons are starting to run rampant. Not necessarily because of the end state of what Carson Wentz happened, meaning that it's going to happen to Jalen Hurts. That's not what I'm getting at. But the comparisons of just one dominant season and the rest being average to slightly above average at best. So my question really, and what I grapple with on a day-to-day basis with this offense, is not necessarily what Saquon Barkley can and can't do for the rest of the way, because right now nobody has proven that they can stop him, and there's no reason to think somebody's going to, because it hasn't happened up to that point or up to this point. But if it does, and would the Eagles be foolish not to have a contingency plan in place to say that it does happen? What do you do with your quarterback? The bottom line is this, and whatever you want to call me, a hater, Jalen Hurts hater, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. Don't call me a homer, though. Please just don't call me that. But if you want to call me a hater, you can. But a team does not. I've never seen an offense in my entire life watching football that does not attack the middle of the field. And that's something that you can't wish away. People don't talk about it. The homers don't talk about it. They don't want to discuss it. They don't want to accept its existence, that the Eagles don't attack the middle of the field. But the numbers tell you that they don't. 285 pass attempts for the whole season, and only 36 of them have been to the middle of the field. So that's less than 8% of the Philadelphia Eagle aerial attack goes to the middle of the field. Now, is that by design? Is that by condition? Is that by situation? Maybe all of the above. Eagles haven't had to necessarily utilize the middle of the field because they don't find themselves in positions to try to get quick hitters. The quick hitters they've been getting have been on the ground, and more of the offense has been achieved on the ground. I get that, and I accept that. But to me, it's a symptom of a bigger problem. The Moriarty playbook is the bigger problem here. Is that the fact that Kellen Moore, for some odd reason, in my opinion, could not get the playbook hammered into Jalen Hurts by the time the season has started. And up to this point, it doesn't seem like they either have stopped trying to teach the playbook at this point and tried to give him this watered-down version of the playbook to where all he does is throw to the outside, or this is a design because of the fact that Saquon Barkley is so dominant with the way he runs. So it could be all the above, and that's fine. But to me, it just seems kind of weird that we are not going to attack the middle of the field. And I honestly think that that's not going to be able to do it or cut it in order to win a Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles at one point this season, at some point, mark my words, are going to need their quarterback to play like the elite quarterback that he's being paid. And can he do it? And what evidence, if you say he can do it, what evidence of that can you give me to support that? Because I can give you a lot of evidence to the counter of that. I can give you the major point of my case is that Jalen Hurts the Eagles, not Jalen Hurts, but the Eagles are not comfortable with Jalen Hurts throwing the football to the middle of the field because they don't think he can deliver the ball in a timely fashion into a tight window for positive yards. Part of the reason why Jalen Hurts' turnovers have gone down is twofold, in my opinion. It's the running of Saquon Barkley, and it's the fact that they're not attacking the middle of the field at all. I mean, I don't think there's much of an argument to counter me, right? Everyone's going to say, well, his turnovers are down because he's going through his progressions faster. He's not holding on to the football as long as he used to. That's a bunch of crap. He's still doing all of that. He's still holding on the ball way too long. And no, he's not going through he's still doing the same thing he is with his progressions. So as joyous as this time is for Eagles fans, and it should be, because your defense is playing at a different level. Your running back is going to hopefully shatter every single record that is left to shatter in 2024 on his way to an MVP. That's all going to happen. But at some point, to win the Lombardi Trophy, to hoist the actual trophy over your head, your quarterback is going to have to play like a quarterback who gets paid $1.6 million a game. And that's what Jalen Hurts gets paid. And Jalen Hurts is going to have to play like that at some point in order for the Eagles to win a Super Bowl. So wish it away all you want. Call me a hater for all you want. Call me a non-believer all you want. All those things are true, except the hater part. I'm not a hater. But I'm a realist. Saquon Barkley is not going to be able to run you to the Super Bowl championship. At some point, your quarterback is going to have to play like an elite quarterback. And can Jalen Hurts do it? Because right now when I look at the Eagles, I said this the other night, the Eagles can be summed up to me. I can sum the Eagles up into 3 bullet points on offense. This is the Eagle offense. This was the offense coming into the season that everybody feared around the NFL because of weapons like Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, I guess, and Jalen Hurts. But this is what the offense has kind of been reduced down to for me so far. The number one bullet point of the Philadelphia Eagles is Saquon friggin' Barkley. All right, that's it. He is the center of the universe of the Eagle offense. Number 2 is your quarterback not being trusted to throw to the middle of the field and not being trusted to run a playbook that is designed to confuse defenses and maybe at times confuse the quarterback. And number 3 is the slow starts. And I want to talk about number 3 because that's something you also are not going to be able to wish away. That's something that's right here, right now, right there in your face. And if they don't clean that up, that's another reason why they will never win a Super Bowl. So that's how I sum up the Eagle offense kind of in 3 bullet points. Right? Adam, how are you? So we talked a little bit about Saquon Barkley. 255 yards. Broke, shattered, destroyed, disintegrated, obliterated the Eagles singles game rushing record held by LaShawn McCoy, set in the snow against the Detroit Lions back on December the 8th, 2009. Shattered that thing, right? Was it 2009? Yeah. Number 2 is Saquon Barkley. We hammered on, well, not hammered on Saquon Barkley. Number 2 is Jalen Hurts. We hammered on this. And the number 3, of course, is the slow starts. I have, again, in all my years, and there's been a lot of them, there's been a few of them, have never seen a Philadelphia Eagle offense this bad out the gate to start a game week after week after week that I've seen in 2024. 2 first quarter touchdowns all season long. 2. No touchdowns on the opening drive all season long. 0. Heading into week 13 against the Baltimore Ravens, they are as a team averaging 10 first half points a game in 2024. 10. They've been bailed out by their defense. And then they get bailed out in the second half by a Saquon Barkley that apparently kicks into a different gear at halftime, or the defense gets tired at halftime. Something happens at halftime that enables the Eagles to kick it into a whole other gear, led by Saquon Barkley. But the concerns are, with the 15 or 12, 13, 15, 18, 20, I don't know how many there are, but the scripted plays the Eagles run every game are so misconjointed, so wrong, so not understood. And then you couple in the penalties that seem to crop up, back-to-back penalties, usually on the opening drive, that stall a drive around that 35, 40-yard line. The Eagles got to clean that up. Sunday against the Rams, the Eagles defense was exposed in the opening drive, but they redeemed themselves with that turnover, right? And they kind of flipped the script. I'm telling you, if the Rams would have punched that in and essentially taken a 14-3 lead into the second quarter, I don't know if that game on Sunday works out the way it did, right? And I'm not saying that turnover was lucky. The Eagles forced a turnover, and that was good. That's what you do. That's what good defenses do. But to live on that edge, to live on that sword, I'm not comfortable with it. The offense has got to find a way to get out of neutral in the first quarter of games. They got to find a way to get at that first touchdown. Every week on the Birds Blast, one of my keys to Eagle victory is a fast start. And what I mean by a fast start, I started by saying a fast start. Then I got a little bit more detailed by exactly what I meant by a fast start. Then I got a lot more detailed about exactly what I meant about a fast start. An opening drive touchdown. And the Eagles have failed to do that all season long. Not one time this season have the Eagles taken the ball on their first possession and marched down the field for a touchdown. Not once. In the first quarter, mind you. They did score one. Technically, they got one, but it was scored at the very beginning of the second quarter. But that didn't happen in the first quarter. So, they got to get better with that. So enjoy Saquon Barkley, because I am. I'm enjoying watching him run. I'm enjoying him tearing it up week to week. I am. But I am also not enjoying the fact that the other aspect of this offense, the offense that was told to me that was going to score 50 points a game because of the likes of Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and so forth, I'm not enjoying the inconsistencies of the rest of the offense. And that's got to get cleaned up moving forward. And on Sunday against Baltimore, it is not, I repeat, not a game season breaking game. It is not. They can win or lose. To me, it's not going to mean it's not going to mean that much difference. They're not living on the edge that way. They're not, to me, a team that's broken and that's going to break itself against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think that's going to happen. Barring, of course, if they get blown out. Then that might be a different story. But that game on Sunday against Baltimore is a watermark game. It's a game where the Eagles can kind of gauge themselves for this moment, but it is not season defining. And the Eagles should really approach it like that. And the Eagle fans should also approach it like that. So if they come out of that game with a win, great. If they don't, that's okay as well, because the schedule head down the stretch is going to get daunting, but it's not that hard. You got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Carolina, the Giants, Cowboys, and the Commanders. It's not really that hard of a schedule down the stretch. The Eagles should be fine if they can continue their business. But then we have to start focusing on what is the rest of this test. The rest of this test is going to be a Super Bowl. And are the Philadelphia Eagles a Super Bowl level team? Are they? Are they good enough to beat Kansas City? Are they good enough to beat Baltimore in the Super Bowl? Are they good enough to beat Buffalo, Miami, Detroit? We got to stop looking at how they stack up against the Commanders and Panthers and Giants and Cowboys and start looking at how they stack up against the Chiefs, how they stack up against Baltimore, how they stack up against Detroit, teams that they're going to have to face on the way to a Super Bowl. So it's a great time to be an Eagle fan. And it's a great time to be a football fan because, as a lot of experts have said, and I've said it too, and I agree with this, football starts now. It starts this weekend, week 13, tomorrow or Thursday on Thanksgiving. You got what? Three games on Thanksgiving, one on Black Friday, and then you got a full weekend or full Sunday and Monday games. Football starts this weekend. This is when the rush to the playoffs begin. The contenders rise to the top, and the pretenders fall to the bottom. So we will have you covered for Birds Blast this week too. On Saturday, yes, me and Kyle talked about it. Again, with the holiday being on Thursday, I got plans Friday. And so Saturday, we're going to try to bring you the Birds Blast. Time to be determined. I'll let everybody know. But Saturday will be the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn this week as we will break down Eagles, Ravens, and say goodbye to Eagles, Rams. Kyle's 7-4 picking games this year, Eagle games. I'm 3-8. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I've not ever been 3-8 before. But there you go. So we'll get into some more Eagles talk tomorrow we'll talk Eagles too. All right. Tomorrow we're going to focus on the defense. I'm going to talk defense tomorrow because I'm interested to know your opinions about the defense. So we'll talk defense tomorrow. But let's move on to the next topic of the night. And that is your Philadelphia Flyers, who, again, a lot of misguided fans, I guess I'll call them, are viewing last night's game against the Vegas Golden Knights as some sort of moral victory. Some sort of, attaboy to the Flyers for hanging in there. Again, I asked the question of what game were you watching? What game were you watching? The Flyers were up 3-0. Okay, 3-0. Then they were up 4-2. There's no moral victory in losing a game in a shootout to a team that you were beating 3-0 and then 4-2. There's no moral victory to that. There's no attaboy to that. It's a terrible loss, in my opinion. They let a point. They snatched victory from the jaws of victory, or they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Don't give me this nonsense. Oh, I'm proud of the Flyers for playing with the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm proud of them for hanging in there with the Golden Knights. Come on, man. What has this town turned into? The Flyers skated their asses off last night, and there were some interesting, good stories to talk about. The play of Morgan Frost, which, whatever. Morgan Frost is done. The problem is they can't trade Morgan Frost because nobody wants him. So nights like last night, he needs to have more of them. so we can drive up his value from nothing to something to get him the hell out of here. Right, the play of Morgan Frost, I guess, is a positive from last night. And it was. He played his ass off. But the problem is he doesn't play like that every night. The problem is he consistently doesn't play like that. That's why he's on his way out the door. The play of Travis Sanheim, which I don't know, again, maybe because I'm seeing it more and more too. And maybe I'm taking more of a hater view on this one. Yeah, maybe I'm the hater here. I don't see it, man. I'm hearing Sanheim being compared as an elite defender. What the hell am I? What am I missing? I'd like to think of myself as an intelligent hockey guy. I'm not seeing any of that. I see Sanheim's defensive abilities as average, a little bit below average. I see his offensive abilities at the NHL level at average to above average. He's an above average offensive defenseman. I'll give you that. But the word elite does not sneak into my vocabulary when discussing Travis Sanheim. Maybe I'm just focused in on too many of the negatives and not the positives. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's me. Maybe I have a Howie Roseman syndrome for Travis Sanheim. I don't know. I don't think I do. I've always wanted to give Travis Sanheim his due, but I just don't see it. I don't see what I guess everybody else is seeing. I don't see. Maybe it's the contract. Maybe that's it. Maybe I can't get over the $6 million a year he's being paid. Maybe that's the problem. Because I don't think he's giving that type of effort or playing in that level. Maybe that's it. I think I had a breakthrough. I think it's the money. I think I'm having a problem with his money. But anyway, he's played considerably. Last night he was on his horse. I'll give you that, man. The entire team was on their horse last night. They were busting their ass. But I remarked this on the post game last night. One of the things that was very remarkable to me. If you would have erased the score, like if you didn't know the score heading into the game and you were watching just to watch the game and you were looking at the effort given by the Flyers and the effort given by the Golden Knights, I think you'd be confused of who was winning because the Flyers were huffing and puffing and up and down, playing their butts off, playing frantically, feverishly, playing like every play was their last one, whereas the Knights were very methodical, very concise, very business as usual, and as they were chipping away at that lead. So I would be confused if I didn't know the score of that game of who was winning because of the way the teams were playing. And that to me speaks volumes about where the Flyers are. The Flyers weren't trying to win the game last night. They were trying not to lose. And again, that is not, to me, deserves a moral victory or an attaboy or a way to go. No. They lost, right? Or there was a non-win. It was a shootout loss. They should be ashamed and embarrassed that they blew a 3-0 lead and then a 4-2 lead. So all the Flyer fans out there that want to give them a pat on the back for this, I mean, what are you doing? We're trying to break the culture of losing in this town. We're trying to break the acceptance of losing in this town. So what are you doing here? Why are you saying that it's okay? They lost. They had an opportunity to beat one of the higher upper teams in the NHL right now. And then by their play in the first period and a little bit into the second, and they picked it up again in the third, 75% of the game they were playing like a team that could do it. It was the other 25% of the game that they didn't play like that, and they got victimized. Right? Good teams don't let that happen. I mean, there's ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys through every game, and I'm not saying a 3-0 lead that you have in the first period, or actually wasn't it it was the very beginning of the second period. That's, to me, that's late enough in the game to where you can hold on. And then you had that 4-2 lead. That was into the third period. That's late enough into the game where you can hold on. They lost because they couldn't finish the deal. Right. And again, I'm not going to sit here and give them moral victory credit for losing a game. I'll never do that. I'll never do that. Yes, they're rebuilding, but it's all about turning the culture over. Right. It's all about creating experienced players, putting these players through some of the fires of an NHL season and seeing how they come out. Last night, it didn't work. Last night, they failed. And there should be no kudos to the Flyers for where they played. No, man, they lost. And there should be some reflection in the mirror. The goaltending was horrible last night. But Otov, with the exception of that one goal The Barbashev goal from Jack Eichel, the turnaround, no look, across the crease pass that had Fedotov in the third row of the lower level of the Wells Fargo Center. But aside from that goal, the other four he gave up, or the other three he gave up in regulation, were terrible goals that he gave up, especially that one that got the score to 4-3. So we had terrible goaltending last night. The Flyers, once again, could not capitalize on all their opportunities. They got the offense rolling early, which was great, but they couldn't sustain it. Samsonov gets credit for obviously playing on his head. But the Flyers got to do better. They let a point escape them. So, no, I'm not giving them a moral victory. I'm not patting them on the back. I'm not saying, way to go. Good job, skipper. I ain't doing any of that, all right? And the longer we do stuff like that here, the longer we accept losing as our culture. So if you silently want to recognize that, that's fine. Do that, but don't publicize it, because it sounds defeatist. It sounds like a loser mentality. I'm sorry. And again, that's my opinion. You don't have to do anything I say, obviously, but I'm telling you how it makes me feel. So yeah, lost last night. Let's call it a loss. Tomorrow night in Nashville against the Predators. Winnable game against a team that's really struggling. Steven Stamkos-led Nashville Predators. And there you have our clear the ice schedule. Sal's at it tomorrow. He'll have the call. Then he'll also have the call Friday against the Rangers. And I'm back with you on Saturday against the Blues. So a big night, big 4-game week for the Fly Guys this week. So more to come with that. But yeah, Flyers lost. Come on. Accept it. All right. Remind everybody, of course, this is It's Wrap Sports. We need your help. Go ahead and like and subscribe on this platform and all of our other social media platforms, as we're trying to grow this thing from the ground up, and we need your assistance in doing that, please. It doesn't cost anything, and it takes about 2 seconds for you to subscribe to this network, and also tell a friend. Yeah, I'm getting a little needy now. Now I'm starting to ask for stuff. Yeah, I need you to tell friends too. I need you to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend, so we can grow this, so I can be on this thing longer and more times talking like this. Come on, because I need the audience. I cannot survive without the attention. I need it. It's like a drug. So please feed my addiction. I need it. But anyway, please, help us out. Like and subscribe. The It's a Wrap Sports Network, a MattyB production. That's right. God damn it, I'm a businessman now. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of It's a Wrap Sports. Just call me Lord, right? Don't call me an officer. Don't call me sir. Just call me Lord. That's all I want. For all those who work with me in the future, I want to put this disclaimer out right now, because right now the network's a little small, but we're going to grow. But when you come to work for MattyB, you better come to work for MattyB. Oh, yeah. All right, let's turn the page now to the baseball diamond, because we're going to introduce a new segment on the show, and we got music and a graphic. Let's go. Okay, yes, the new It's a Wrap Sports Hot Stove Report. This is actually going to be the first of a couple things we're going to do with free agency and the hot stove here on the network. We're going to run this on this show, not every day. We'll run it a few times a week, or maybe twice a week, once a week at the very least bit. But we're also going to have standalones, like little specials throughout the off season. We're talking about 2 of them right now that we're going to do like a 20-minute spot, half-hour spot on baseball free agency and the comings and goings of some of the free agents around the MLB. Sal G will be your ferryman for that, as he'll take you through that. But I definitely want to get, because we have kind of started the hot stove period, and I know I was actually surprised about some of the moves. I hadn't heard them. I was like, whoa, what am I missing here? The Jonathan India trade, I missed that when it first happened. Happened like 2 weeks ago. And so I figured, you know what, for my own education, we're going to run this segment on my show. So I am going to start here tonight with catching everybody up. We're going to go back to Halloween October 31st, and we're going to start talking some of the moves that occurred at that time. So let's go. So the first move we're going to talk about is Jorge Soler. Yeah, remember the journeyman who was with the Braves to finish up last season? The Anaheim Angels. I'm sorry, they're not the Anaheim Angels, but the Los Angeles Angels traded right-handed pitcher Griffin Channing to the Braves for Soler. So one of the more active teams so far in the very early stages of free agency this offseason have been the Angels, man. They've added about 5 players through this period. I guess they're tired of letting their seasons roll on the health of Mike Trout, and they're starting to kind of cash up a little bit and load up. So Soler was traded to the Angels for Griffin Canning. Also on Halloween, Jordan Montgomery and the Arizona Diamondbacks accepted the player option, and Montgomery will return to Arizona this season. Tristan Gray is now on his way to Pittsburgh as he was claimed off waivers from Pittsburgh, to Pittsburgh from Oakland. Dylan Covey, you remember him? Remember him? The 2023, was it May of 23? Phillies acquisition from the Dodgers. Spent pretty much the entire season last year for the Phillies stuck in the minor leagues. I don't know what he was stuck. He was hurt. What the hell was Dylan Covey last year? Stuck down in the minors, I guess. Well, anyway, don't worry about him. He's no longer a Philly. He signed a 1-year contract with the Mets on Halloween. So Dylan Covey's on his way to New York. Ronzi Contreras, the right-hand pitcher from the Angels, is on his way to Texas. He was claimed off waivers. Eugenio Suarez, third baseman from Arizona, staying in Arizona as his mutual option was picked up by the Diamondbacks. Same thing with Merrill Kelly. He's staying in Arizona as his mutual option was also accepted. Thaddeus Ward, right-hand pitcher, formerly of the Washington Nationals, is now in Baltimore via waivers. Justin Sterner, right-hander, was in Tampa, now is in, it's funny because when you look at this tracker for the A's, it's no longer OAK, it's ATH, because Oakland A's don't have a city. So they just call them the Athletics now. So he is now with the ATHs, the Athletics. So he's now with Oakland. Seth Martinez from Houston is now in Arizona, claimed off waivers. Steven Okert from Minnesota is now in Houston, signed a minor league contract. Austin Hedges, there was a time where he was really good, man. He's staying in Cleveland. He signed a 1-year contract to remain. Daniel Durante, the pitcher from Minnesota, staying in Minnesota, signed a minor league deal with them. Let's continue on with this list. Where are we at here? Oh, buddy. Here we go. All right. TJ McFarland from Oakland, staying in Oakland on a 1-year deal. Kyle Hendricks from the Cubs is on his way out to the Angels. Again, they're loading up. He signed a 1-year contract with them. Bly Medris, the first baseman from Detroit, staying in Detroit on a minor league deal. Brandon Liebrant, formerly of the Reds, now a Yankee on a minor league deal. Alex Jackson, a catcher, formerly of the Rays, now a Red on a minor league deal. Jimmy Haggart, the right-hand pitcher from the Cubs, now a Rocky on off waivers. Parker Mushinski from Houston, now in Cleveland, signed a minor league contract with an invite to spring training. Nick Allen, the shortstop from ATH, is now a Brave. So Nick Allen coming into the NL East. He was traded for minor league right-hand pitcher Jared Johnson. So Jared Johnson on his way out to the ATHs as Nick Allen is on his way to the Braves. Pablo Reyes from the Mets, now a Yankee on a minor league deal. Travis Diamondua, the catcher from the Braves, now an Angel on a 2-year contract, as the Angels, again, very active early on here in free agency are those Anaheim Angels or Los Angeles Angels, wherever the hell they are. Donovan Walton, formerly of the Giants, now a Met on a minor league deal. Inyo Padres, a Cub, now a Brave on a minor league deal. Charles LeBlanc from the Angels, now a Brave on a minor league deal. Justin Wilson from the Reds, now a Red Sox on a 1-year contract. Interesting move, too. I like him. Kevin Newman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, now an Angel on a 1-year deal. Shelby Zavilla from the Mariners, now a Red Sox on a 1-year deal. And we're going to finish this bad boy up. Justin Hegerman from Boston to the Mets on a 1-year contract. He is a right-hand pitcher. Max Stassi, the former Philly, former Giant, now former White Sox, now current Giant, back to San Francisco on a minor league deal. Jose Siri was traded from the Rays to the Mets for Eric Orz. Austin Shenton from Tampa to Seattle, traded for cash. Eric Orzi, of course, the other part of that trade for Jose Siri. Austin Slater, the right fielder from Baltimore, now a White Sox on a 1-year deal. Eli Morgan, Cleveland to Chicago Cub, traded for minor league outfielder Alfonso Rosario. Jackson Reitz, the catcher, now a Met on a minor league deal. Interesting, nice little backup piece, depth piece for the Mets there at their catching position. Joey Weimer from the Reds now to a Royal. He was part of the Jonathan India for Brady Singer trade. So basically what the Reds did was they traded Jonathan India to the Kansas City to Kansas City for Brady Singer and Joey Weimer. Peter Strzelecki traded for cash considerations from Cleveland to Pittsburgh. Brady Singer, we talked about. Carlos Rodriguez, now in Atlanta on a 1-year deal from Milwaukee. Jonathan India, of course, that's the biggest move so far this offseason. Now a Royal, along with Joey Weimer for right-hand pitcher Brady Singer going back to Cincinnati. Bailey Horn going from Boston to Detroit off waivers. Kyle Farmer from Minnesota, now in Colorado on a 1-year deal. And George Valeria now staying in Cleveland as he's been offered a minor league deal, or a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training to stay in Cleveland. So there you are. You are now updated with everything I know of the hot stove, and we will basically pick it up from there as applicable. So, but yeah, we're going to run this segment on this show a couple days a week, and then we'll do a couple standalone specials through the winter to keep you updated. So there you have the hot stove. Hello, how are you? Now you have our hot stove report. So Phillies, so far, with the exception of the Dylan Covey move, and they made a few other minor moves. They released some players, and they signed some players as well. They were late. They were deeper or earlier in October, so I didn't bother with any of that. But they made some lower level moves. But yeah, the Phillies laying low so far. What are the Phillies doing? Are they moving on from Alec Boehm? Are they moving on from Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto? Is Juan Soto coming? Is Alex Bregman coming? Is who's coming? Who's going? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know, and so do you. And we will keep you updated on the It's a Wrap Sports / Final Word with MattyB Hot Stove Report segment as applicable. So stay tuned for that, as we will do that as we need. All right, let's get into our final segment of the night, and that's our card review. Key to music.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, we are at the point of our show where we take a look at the wonderful world of sports card collecting. Yep. We take a look at one of my cards from my collection, and we bring it up on the screen. We talk about it, we hash it out a little bit, and then we discuss some things. We just have some fun with it. I've been collecting sports cards off and on all my life, but just recently sat down finally for the first time in my entire life and really went through and organized my collection along with my stepsons. We merged our collections together and found out we had some pretty good cards. So we're going to spend the next, hopefully life of the show. 50,000 episodes talking about sports cards, one a night. And we do that here. So let's talk about tonight's card. And tonight's card is we're going back to baseball. That's right, back to baseball for the 2019 Ronald Acuna Jr. foil rookie Topps card. So again, there's certain cards out there that you stockpile, right? We talked about this quite a bit. There's the Otanis, there's the Judges, there's the Trouts. Maybe not so much Trout anymore, but there's certain cards out there that you stockpile and that you try to accumulate, and because you can never have enough of them. Ronald Acuna rookies are the same thing. This is a foil card, so you know that Topps does these things now, and all card companies do this. You have your base card. And then you have your foils, you have your chromes, you have your foil blues, your foil golds, your foil reds, your Mother's Day, your Father's Day, your July 4th, your patriotics. You have your refractors. You have all these variants of certain different cards, but this is the actual foil blue. It's considered the foil blue card. Financially, as a rookie Acuna, if you actually had this card in if you had the foil purple, the card's worth about $60. If you had the foil, it's about, if you had the foil purple, that's about the most expensive one. This card right now, it's worth about $20. It's a $20 card for a player that's currently still playing in Major League Baseball. Financially, not going to break the bank, ain't going to make you a millionaire, but it is definitely a card financially for you to hang on to. And aesthetically, the way this card looks, just a really, really slick card. I love the foil. I like foil cards. I like the chrome cards. I like the refractors. That's one thing that I'm glad, since the end of the wax days, right? Since the wax packs have disappeared and now we're into these types of cards, they've been able to get really kind of funky with the designs and really kind of test the limits. And this is really a good byproduct of that. So the Ronald Acuna 2019 Topps rookie card foil card, and here it is. And its actual form, as you can see, the foil is nice and shiny and kind of glinting in the light there, but there it is. Now, as far as this card goes, again, all my cards are raw, meaning none of them have been graded. And if I look at this card centering, if I look at edges, if I look at borders, this card looks pretty clean, and this card looks pretty nice. Am I going to say a gem 10? I'm definitely going to say a 9 or 9.5. So Ronald Acuna Jr., Topps 2019 foil, valued at around $20 right now. Ungraded. Now, mind you, that's ungraded. I think if PSA 9 or PSA 10 of that card is about $100. So pays you to get them graded if you're going to get into this business seriously. But right now, that card raw is about $20. So there you have your sports card or your card review of the night, the 2019 Ronald Acuna Jr. Topps rookie. And I'm actually going to a card show tomorrow night. Yeah, a day before Thanksgiving card show. I'll be there for a few hours, but I'll be back for the show. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually going to try to sell some cards tomorrow. I'm going to bring about 20 cards with me and try to trade or sell some. See if I can add to my collection. Yeah, have some fun with it. But there you go. That's going to wrap me up for the night. It's a quiet night in Philadelphia sports. Nothing really going on at all. But we talked a little bit about the Eagles-Rams. Talked about how I do not believe, once again, I don't believe in the end state of what's going to happen with this Eagles team. I believe in what they're doing now, and I am definitely watching and I'm enjoying Saquon Barkley. But I don't think this is a Super Bowl winning team. I don't even think this is a Super Bowl contending team because the quarterback needs to start playing like elite, and I don't think he can. We'll talk defense tomorrow a little bit about the Eagles as well. Talked about the Flyers and how there's no moral victories. I don't care what stage of a rebuild you're in or what the situation is. There's no moral victories. The Flyers let a 3-0 and a 4-2 lead slip away. It's a loss, and there should be nobody happy about that. We updated everybody on the latest and greatest MLB hot stove moves. We're going to be doing that on a daily basis. Not daily basis, maybe twice a week, whatever. And our card review as well. So that's going to do us. Have a great night. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for checking in. Make sure you like and subscribe on all of our platforms. We're not going away, so you better get used to us. You guys have a great rest of your night and a better tomorrow.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I go so yo. Everybody know I'm you know when the click through. Try to send this about to be a show, be fun.